In the home page, we see all the forums. According to our mockup in the real application, the forums are grouped by categories. Let's take a look at the categories object. Each category has a name, a slug, an ID, and a list of the forum IDs that belong to this category. Also, each forum has a category ID attribute that tells us to which category it belongs. We can use the categories to tidy up the homepage. As we see in our mockup, we have to create a list, like the one we have right now, for each category. This sounds like we need a category list component. We will also need a route and a page component for the category page. Since we have seen how to implement this functionality, this is a great opportunity to build something on your own to practice what you have learned so far. I have put together some hints in lesson's description. If you get stuck, try as hard as you can to solve the issues before you check the solution. You can Google as much as needed and maybe ask some questions on Slack. Okay, pause the video and come back to watch the solution when you are ready. I'm waiting. Hey, welcome back. I hope you managed to implement it on your own. I will start by creating the category list component under the components directory. The category list will need a prop that will be the array of categories to render. It should be required and an array. Once we get the categories, we will need to render a category element for each category. If you take a look at the mockup, you will notice that this element is the same as the forum list. The only difference is that we display the category name on top of the list. So, we want to render multiple forum lists, one for every category. We will need to create a method to find the forums for a given category. Let's say that we call this method getForumsForCategory and give it an argument of the active category. In the method, we should find the forums of the category from within source data and return them in an array. Let's import source data first. Then I will find the forums using filter. Each forum has a category ID attribute, which we can use to find the forums that belong to the active category. Good. Let's also pass the category name to the forum list so we can display it inside its title. Let's define this prop inside forum list. And use it in the template. We can give the prop a default value of forums to display this title if no category name is defined. I think we are good. Let's render the category list component inside page home. Again, I will replace the forum list occurrences with the category list. And then, instead of utilizing the forums, we're going to use the categories. That should be good. Let's see if it works in the browser. Awesome! We got it working on the first go. Here you can see the different categories. Here we have 3 categories, and in each one we have the forms organized there. If we click on a forum, we're able to navigate to it directly. So we can go in the page. Here we have 4 threads. Here we have the fishing. So our application starts looking really good now. It will also be nice to be able to navigate to a specific category in the browser under /category/ID. The same way we navigate to forums or threads. In the mockups, we see that the category page is nothing more than a forum list with the category information. and an H1 on top. To implement the category page, I will start by creating a new route right before the forum route. The path will be /category/id. I will give it a name of category. I will use the component category that will be a page component which I have not created yet. And last, I want to pass the params as props, so I will use props true. Let's create this page component. It will go under the pages directory, and it will have a name of category. As we do in most of the page components, we get the ID from the route, and then we find the resource, which in this case is a category. So I will define this prop. ID is always required, and type string. We also have to import the forum list component and source data here. We need the source data so we can find the category in the data. I will create a computed property, category, and find the category here. Source data, not source date. It starts becoming a bit frustrating having to import source data on every component that need to access the global state, so we will work on the state management in the next lessons. In the template, we can render an instance of the forum list component and pass it the forums and the title properties. We don't have the forums here, so for the moment I will copy this method from our other component. Category list. When we migrate to using a state management, we will not need to have these duplications in our code. If you wanted, you could also make a computed property for this that will return the forums for this specific category. That looks good, and we can also add an H1 on the top to display the category name. That should do. Let's import our component in the router file. I will navigate to a random category in the browser to see how it looks. /category/ and I will need to grab a category ID. We'll get the first one. And here we get not found. So maybe that's category and not categories. Yes, awesome. So this is the category that is called feedback and information. And because we have not passed the category name here, this displays the word forums. If we want to give it that title, we should say that the category name is that, but actually I think the word title is better. So we can make this prop title. We'll also update it here, because title makes more sense than category name, and then we can have the default forums. So this is better, and we'll just have to fix it in this page too. So we should update the prop in a category list component too. And now if we check back in the browser, now it doesn't work. Why? Here we give it the title, it's the category name, forum list accepts the title. Yeah, and here we don't use it. So if we update title in the template, yeah, that fixes it again. Perfect. So the last thing we have to do now is to link the category name to the category pages. So within the category list, what we can do is to pass an ID or a category ID to the forum list, and inside forum list we can decide if a category ID is set, then we will make a link here to send to that specific category. If no ID is set, then we don't need to create a link because this is just a list of no categories. So I will do that, and I will start by adding here our category ID. Now let's define this in forum list. Category ID will be optional, so required false, and if it is defined, the type should be string. Great. So now let's implement this feature here. First of all, I will create the router link to replace this A tag. So here we have router link. The 2 will be for the route category, like this, and the param will be ID that will come from the category ID property. Now we want to display this only if we have a category ID, so I will apply a vif here, and this will be based on the category ID. Otherwise, I will create a span with velse that will say forums. Or not forums, it should say title. Let's see if that works. Great, this is a link. If we click it, we can go to the category. This is awesome. We can try another one. Comedy, we can see this here and here. This works great. And to see if it also works without the category ID, I will remove this prop for a minute. I will refresh here. And now the links have gone away. Awesome, so let's revert that. With the category feature in place, we have implemented the core structure of our forum. We have the categories, the forums, the threads, and the posts. And we do have all these components and pages, and we're able to navigate everywhere.